Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome again. We're here with Eden. So this is part 2. In the last conversation, we spoke about our journey together as friends, as women, as mothers, as sisters. We explored the ceremonies that we were part of together, our blessing ways, closing of the bones, cutting the red thread ceremonies, grief ceremonies. Both of us in our pregnancies decided to walk the path of free birth, and the outcomes were worlds apart, very, very different. And today we're going to be speaking on free birth. Our experiences, our understandings, what we think and feel about free birth now, in comparison to what we understood free birth specifically to be before our experiences. And today we're drinking a pu'er tea from Taiwan, and it's beautiful. So welcome back, Eden.
Thank you.
Mother, mystic, storyteller, dancer, way shower, speaker. Beautiful human all around.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
This feels really beautiful to be here and I get to have these conversations. Because I was very open about my choice to free birth and shared a lot online while I was pregnant, and then I kind of shut up about it afterwards because I didn't really know didn't really know where I stood anymore after having my birth experience with my daughter.
And so you haven't, going from sharing so publicly and openly, I remember seeing all the videos and different things. And again, in the last conversation, we discussed how our pregnancies were very opposite, and then our journeys of motherhood were very opposite. And even in the ways that we've shared online about birth and free birth have been mirrored and parallel but opposite, where in pregnancy I was blissed out. I loved being pregnant and you struggled. And then in motherhood, I went into more of a shadow, dark night, grieving and mourning and mothering in tandem. And you got to experience and get to experience this beautiful daughter and have more of a sun shining, version. And throughout our online journeys, when you were pregnant, you were sharing a lot, and I wasn't. And then Floyd passed away, and a few months after, I was like, I need to talk. And I triggered a nation.
Yes, oh my gosh. Yeah, you did.
As did you, though, too, when you were pregnant. And so, I feel like this conversation might kind of depict and illustrate going from knowledge to wisdom in that journey of, we're pregnant, we're gathering information, we have these ideas of what we think birth will be like, what we think motherhood will be like, and then we walk it, and we are met with radical truth of experience. And that's not to say that we were entirely wrong, but lived experience is where we find and cultivate wisdom. So I'm curious to know where you want to start.
Where's a good starting point? I can share when I met my now husband and the father of our daughter. We sat and we did this like questionnaire together. We asked each other a bunch of questions that ranged from like, what's your biggest dream, to like, how do you show up in arguments with somebody? What things from your last relationship are you wounded by? What are you still carrying? And what does your expression of anger look like? And things like that. And in the what is your biggest dream, at the time, I must have just been really like listening to a bunch of podcasts, but like really drawn in by the free birth world. And at that point, I didn't want kids at like in the next 5 years. I was like happy to just, yeah, be in my maidenhood. But I had said that my biggest dream was to have a wild pregnancy and a free birth, which I look back at now and I kind of like giggle, because I was also never a woman who was like, oh, I'm going to be a mother. It's like, I know it in my bones that I'm going to be a mother. It was always this like, I don't know. So for that to have been so like, that's my biggest dream at the time, yeah, feels a little bit funny to me now looking back. But yeah, and then when I got pregnant, I was again like consuming so much free birth podcasts and stuff on Instagram, and started to follow all of these mothers who had free birthed, I started to, I definitely had like an ego about it, of like, this is the better way to birth, this is the best way to birth.
Right.
And not super like external like that, but I had so many internal judgments. If I like heard somebody say, you know, they had this experience, my initial thought would be like, okay, well, why did this and this and this happen? And like just go into judgment instead of just like radical like listening.
So what would an example of that be?
Like if a woman said she had an emergency C-section, I would be like, oh sure, it was an emergency.
Who told you it was an emergency?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what was the emergency? Instead of just being like, wow, how was that experience for you? That must have been really scary. Or like, what did that feel like? Like, I wasn't curious or compassionate. In my internal experience was just like, because of all of the, I want to use the word propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, that I had been consuming and being, which sounds, I don't know. I like giggle at that because in like the free birth world, it's like the other stuff is the propaganda.
Right.
You know? So it feels funny to say that, but I was like very 2 feet in the free birth, like free birth is the best way to birth.
So before we move on too quickly, you had mentioned this dream of wanting to have a wild pregnancy and a free birth. Can I ask what that meant for you?
For me,
like what is it about the choosing of a wild pregnancy and free birth that was like, ooh, appealing and enticing, or that drew you to that path? Being like, I started dancing when I was 5, and my entire life was based around connecting to my body in different ways and having that deep relationship with my body and movement, and at the time I was in this like really deep experience of coming back into my body after like disassociating and disconnecting for years because of a traumatic experience I had, and so it was, for me, it felt like this, my body gets to lead the way, and I trust my body so deeply that I'm going to let it lead, and I don't want anyone else to take that away from me, essentially. But it was, just that call from my body. And I would say like, if I had somebody telling me what position to go in and you know, when to push, like I would be yelling at them to shut up and stuff, because I'm in my body. I know, you know, I listen to my body and all of these things, but it was really just that trust in my body and wanting to let it lead the way and not wanting to be told what to do. Right, and then you use the word propaganda to describe this like free birth content, and I can't disagree with that statement either. And what I've noticed in the free birthing world, and not every single person that talks about free birth such as myself and other women that I'm in connection with, have this very narrow scope on free birth is this radical, thing that is, pushed on or whatever it might be. But, but this propaganda confirms this desire to free birth and be autonomous in the birthing decisions and empowered and, in control. Right. And having this propaganda saying that the hospital is going to sabotage your birth, they're going to hurt your baby, they're going to hurt you, they're going to cause harm, and they're going to have like a slew of interventions that's going to result in a really traumatic cesarean. And even saying that, I have goosebumps just thinking about how much, media, and whether it's, through podcasting or courses or social media content, was pushing that narrative. Yeah.
And it was like, it feels like it's really black and white. And like, you have to pick a side. And so I was like, yeah, I'm picking the right side. And I was like, so sure of the fact that I was picking the right side. And now having birthed, like, there's no right side. So even to have that, like, I don't know, polarity and like these two sides, even to have the two sides, like, the sides shouldn't exist. Like, there's, how do you, in your own body, with your own spirit baby, how do you want to birth? Like, that's the side.
Yeah.
The side is my side.
Right.
Right. But yeah, and like, I haven't even gone back and looked at my old posts because I just know I'm going to cringe so hard, which is also beautiful because that means there's growth, and I'm not in that, like, like, have, like, the horses have, like, the blinders. Yeah. Like, that's what it felt like before. And there was definitely, like, this feeling of hierarchy, too, of, like, oh, this is, like, I'm a more wild woman if I birth in this way. I'm a more embodied woman if I birth in this way. Like, and, yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that's the case now?
Oh, my God, no. Like, it's... I don't know. I see, like, all of the comments and things on different... Because, I'll be, like, scrolling, and I'll see somebody write something about free birth, and I'm like, ooh, who got triggered by this? And I, like, go in the comments, and I see... But now, I can see both sides, and I can understand both sides, whereas before, I was like, oh, you're triggered. You must have had a, like, unnecessary emergency C-section. Like, it used to be like that, and now I'm like... Yeah, I understand why, there's all of this fear from people who, had the emergency C-section, regardless if it was truly an emergency or not, and that's where it gets, like, gray, because we don't actually know. Like, we don't actually know.
Yeah.
And what's an emergency and what's not, what's, like, too much intervention, what's not, because each experience is so unique and different.
Right.
That, like, I don't know, we just can't fully know.
Well, I've had people even ask me, they're like, well, why didn't you wait longer? Oh, really? Like, when, I've heard other people say this as well, in reference to other women's stories where they end up transferring and then they have a baby born cesarean or forceps or vacuum or in whatever way. And the question from the free birth side comes up, and it's phrased in a way like, how do you know baby was actually stuck? What if you gave it more time? Yeah. And in my case, if I gave it more time, I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I would be in the ground somewhere. Yeah. And I've had people ask me also, like, are you sure you were dying? Or do you trust that the doctors,
Wow.
like all of these things, like people in my life have asked me that. And this is, I think, the depth of mistrust that people carry with the medical system, with doctors, with L&D nurses, with medical midwives. And that is a factor in why women choose free birth. Like a big factor in why women choose free birth. And I have a question going off of something else that you said just earlier, where you were describing choosing birth as a decision between you and your spirit baby. And so how do you know, how can you decipher if your choice to birth and free birth the way that you did was a connection between you and your baby, or coming from a place of control and an egoic desire, as you described just previously, and maybe it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that too.
That's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, from my personal experience, I feel like it was a mix of both, because had I not walked the path that I walked, I would be a different mother. I would have, like just the initiation of the choices that I made taught me different things that I'm, still integrating, but I believe that it made me the mother that I needed to be for this specific little human, my daughter. So like, and it also depends on, on a more broad perspective, it also depends like on how connected people feel to their spirit babies. Right. Because if you were like, oh, I don't believe in spirit babies, then how are you going to connect and how are you going to feel that? But for me, I think we mentioned this potentially in the last episode that we did. Like, well, you mentioned you called midwives in the area. I called midwives in the area too. Yeah. And so it wasn't just this like, oh, I'm pregnant. Okay, free birth it is. It was still like, okay, this is a big responsibility. And what am I going to choose here? And it was like I was connecting with these different midwives and seeing how it felt. And that feeling of like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I don't know. I think it's hard to say. It's really hard to say because it's, again, so unique. But just for me, I think it was that even just making a choice, regardless of which... Hello, spider. Hello. Regardless of which choice it was making a choice and making the choice that I felt called to. Right. And not what I was expected to do. And did you feel supported by Florian? Yeah, thankfully, because I know a lot of women don't have that experience where like their partners will like, well, I want you to have a midwife, or I want you to go to birth in the hospital because that's what's going to make me feel safe. And it was actually with Florian, I asked him after I'd called midwives, and like one of them didn't even seem to want to talk to me. Like on the phone, she was just like I don't know what was going on in her world, but I didn't feel like she even wanted to be on the phone with me. So I was like, well, I'm not going to let you into the most vulnerable experience of my life if you're not going to give me like 10 minutes of your time to have a back and forth conversation. Like, but after that, I was like, okay, please don't tell me what you think I need. Like, I trust you. It's your body, your choice. Yeah. I know that you trust me. I know that you're not going to force me to do anything I don't want to do, but I need to know what your authentic, raw, real truth is. Like, what are you thinking? Yeah. And he was just like, I think you're amazing, and I think that you can do it the way you want to. And I fully support you and trust you to make that choice. So he was really just like, let me lead in that. And And I don't really know, because we haven't actually talked about it, what his internal experience of that was. Like, I don't know if he had any fears. I don't know if he, you know, was worried about it or anything.
Yeah.
So, if he was, he never said anything.
Right.
Or he must have just been in, like, full trust.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason felt the same way.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this trust.
Yeah.
You know, that, yeah, of course you're going to pop this baby out. It's going to happen. And, you know, and of course it did in its own way. I'm not pregnant. So, baby came out. Yeah. So I'm curious. You shared that you would post on social media and talk about your beliefs around birth and all of these things while you were pregnant. And I remember seeing some of the comments and, you know, all of these things. And you haven't really spoken about your beliefs around free birth now. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. You shared just a little bit, but how do you view birth now? How do you view free birth or the free birth world or the free birth movement?
Yeah.
Now having birthed yourself and, you know, free birthed. I mean, walked alongside me, who also chose free birth, and my free birth turned into transferring to the hospital and me in a coma for 2 days, my son passing away, and then having surgeries, you know, throughout the following year, which I was not aware that was even a possibility, that I would be in a coma or that I would have to have all these reparative surgeries. I had studied free birth and done courses and, you know, all of these things. And I was aware, like, okay, if there's cord prolapse, that's an emergency transfer situation. If, you know, placenta comes first, that's like emergency transfer situation. Like, there's different circumstances that we're taught, like, hey, these are more emergency, that would, you know, wave a red flag. But not once did I ever hear a story like mine, ever even think it was a possibility.
Yeah.
I knew death was a possibility, especially in babies, because that's something that I experienced as a child, that, you know, my brother was stillborn. I knew that could happen in a hospital, at home, and under any circumstance under the sun. It could just happen, and it does happen at any point in gestation, whether you are 6 weeks pregnant or 45 weeks pregnant, whether you are a newborn or you're 98 years old. Death finds us in various times and places. So I knew that was a possibility, not in relation to free birth, but in relation to birth. If you get pregnant, the chance of death now exists because there is a life that is present, period. And so I knew that was a possibility. But I didn't know, like I said, that my story was a reality. And so you having seen that and walked alongside me as well, I'm curious to know what your beliefs or viewpoints or understandings are around free birth. And I mean, moving forward, what would you choose moving forward, if you know? And what would you tell people, you know, because you were very vocal on social media and saying, free birth, like, our bodies can do this, it's whatever, you know, talking very strongly, you know, and not pushing. I never thought that you pushed your beliefs,
very much
but
like
you were
my
just
experience.
I'm standing in what I believe and what I feel, what my experience is. And now you have new experiences that inform different thoughts and ideas and beliefs. And so I'm curious what shape your beliefs and thoughts have taken now that you've walked a path of birth and postpartum and witnessed other women and heard other stories. It's a big question.
It is. I will do my best. I'm still, like, yeah, I'm still figuring it out because, you know, after birthing my daughter, like, it was really intense. I was not prepared for that level of intensity. And I don't think there's actual words that can do the intensity that I felt justice. Like, it's just this, I don't know. There wasn't space for me to feel anything other than intense, like, sensation in my body. And that was the only thing that existed. And so,
is this while you're laboring? Is this upon emergence? Is this
this
postpartum
was like,
or immediately postpartum?
yeah, the second half of my labor. So this was like 6 hours of that, like, just intensity. And not having someone to hold space for the come down after that, because Florian was also exhausted, like, holding space for me, birthing for 12 hours. And being the only one, you know, he's making sure I'm peeing and eating food and drinking water, and, you know, he's moving the pillows around for me, and we filmed it too, so he's also moving the cameras around. Like, he was on for 12 hours, and so not having someone to hold space for that, and to just be like, hey, you're all good, you're safe, you're here, your baby is safe. Like, I was just, my whole body was vibrating. And so navigating that by myself, I never want to do again.
Right.
And that's the one thing that I have really sat with, is just like that immediate postpartum, and not having someone who has birthed before, who knows that embodied experience of, like, yeah, birth is intense. Let me, like, be here with you and look in your eyes and hold your hand and, you know, breathe with you.
Right. Because you did have somebody come afterwards.
Yeah.
But she hadn't birthed before.
No. And she fed me food and helped put towels in the laundry and stuff. But it wasn't like, oh, hey, brand new mama.
Yeah.
I know I've been where you are, though my experience, you know, we're all unique, but I've been where you are. I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Right.
And, like, you're up there swirling around, and you're down here, and now you're suddenly a mother, and you're like, oh my gosh, this fragile, tiny little thing is now mine, and oh my gosh, I have to keep you safe, but I couldn't even stand up and run away from a predator if I tried, so how am I supposed to do that? Like, all of that, like, primal experience. I don't know, like, and also not every woman's birth is potentially as intense as mine was, you know?
Right.
So, but I don't think that what I learned from the free birth world prepped me for that.
Right. And I remember you sharing with me the feeling when, so after Flora was born, and then this woman came and showed up and, helped you with the towels and fed you some things, and then she left.
Yeah.
And this thought and feeling, and I don't want to speak your words for you, but you shared that feeling with me.
Yeah, so previously we had like birth meetings where we talked and shared, like, I just shared my desires, and I thought, again, because not knowing, I thought that me and Florian would want privacy with our brand new baby and want our house to be empty other than us, and so we had said, okay, when we're ready to do the cord burning ceremony, she'll leave and we'll be by ourselves. And in the moment, she looked at me and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I had this like, no, don't go. But I was like, okay, well, yeah, we said that, so I guess I'll listen to what we said, and she left, and I wish she didn't leave. But she did. And that's, you know, part of my journey and my integration, and so.
And she was there for the cord burning?
No, she left.
She left before?
Yeah.
Okay. And for those that don't know, cord burning is another way to detach the cord from baby and placenta and just create a severance there once the cord goes limp and the blood is, you know, the cord stops pulsing and all of these things, instead of cutting the cord.
White.
Yeah, instead of cutting the cord, that is a practice that some families choose to do, and that's what you guys did with Flora. Yeah.
And yeah, there was just like, there's so many things that, you know, I was messaging my sister because my sister has had 4 babies, and I was messaging her to find some sort of safety because my nervous system was just so, like, I was just that, like, primal vulnerability. After, yeah.
Right. And what types of births did she have without getting into too much of her stories?
She had 1 hospital birth and then 3 home births.
With midwives?
With midwives.
Okay.
Yeah. One of them, the midwives came as her baby was emerging. So, yeah. So, yeah, like, I trusted her, but if I had had someone there, a midwife, even like a postpartum, I don't know, postpartum like doula or something,
or someone,
just someone,
elder,
yeah, some sort of birth keeper, wise woman. Like, I would have been able to find so much more safety, and so, yeah, I wouldn't free birth in the same way as I did last time.
Okay.
And like, because of the intensity, I'm still holding that in my body, and I've shared this as well, just like this big fear of getting pregnant again. And yeah, knowing like the level of intensity, and you know, and also my pregnancy experience wasn't super easy or pleasurable or enjoyable at all. So yeah, but yeah, so that was my experience. And then witnessing you, like, shattered my entire everything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I knew that death was a reality for many, and I, you know, was processing that, like, radical responsibility of my choice. And I had, you know, listened to podcasts of women whose babies had died after free birth, and so I wasn't like ignorant to the fact that that could happen, but witnessing it so closely is not the same as listening to a podcast or reading a woman's story on social media. Like, witnessing you, visiting you in the hospital, and being in all of those ceremonies, and coming to, you know, your house, and just like witnessing you in that experience. Yeah, again, like, absolutely shattered my views of free birth, and that's where I've been like, I don't even know where to start, because it wasn't my experience, but I witnessed it so closely, and you know, and I didn't even witness all of it, you know, like, I just got like little sneak peeks in, you know, snippets of your life, and and so I just I don't know.
And I think that I don't know piece is a very potent piece of wisdom. Because, I mean, we don't know anything, you know, and Wapio, she's a midwife. I've been saying this quote over and over again, and she says, it is not your privilege to know the destiny of another being. And I heard that, and it shattered me for weeks. And when choosing birth, we can try to make all the right decisions. Is there a completely correct way? Like, I don't know. But just recognizing that, like, what do we think about free birth? I don't know. And maybe we'll leave this conversation with more I don't knows. You know, and how wise is that, and how medicinal is that, to be able to stand in I don't know. And I'm going to speak the I don't know, because that is anchored in more truth than not.
Thank you for that. Because all that I do know is that every woman is making choices that she thinks is going to protect her baby. That's the only thing I do know.
Yeah, full stop.
As like certain. And what we feel individually based on our entire life experience up until that point, based on, you know, who we've been around, the kind of birth stories we've heard, the conversations that we've been in, like
the way that we were born.
Yeah.
Every little detail goes to inform what we think we know and what we understand to be safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not safe.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. And so everything up until that point all is infused in what we choose.
Yeah.
And yeah, had my sister not had 3 home births before, if she had 4 hospital births, I probably would have chosen to home birth because I wouldn't have wanted to be like that intensely radical in my family.
Right.
You know, but me having witnessed my sister home birth, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's just one step further.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one thing to like acknowledge the potential risks in your mind when you don't think it's going to happen to you. And then, as I'm sure you can speak to, the experience of it actually happening to you. And
yeah, and just the realities of, I mean, like I said earlier, I knew certain things like, oh, maybe I'll tear. And I had a crazy fear of tearing.
Yeah.
I had 3 big fears my entire life. Because I, was talking about birth my whole life. Because it was such a passion of mine. And I was so curious about it, watching documentaries and reading books like my whole life. And I had 3 big fears. One, that I would experience a stillbirth or death of a child, because that was such an ancestral thing. One, that I would be a bad mother. And one, that I would tear, that my body would just rip open. And I tore in the worst way that you could. I experienced the death of a child, which I didn't think I would survive. And I've battled all of those thoughts of, I am a terrible mother because my kid is dead, because I chose to free birth. And that's not necessarily true, even though I have letters that say it's true. And I'm saying that with a laugh because I'm now at this place where it is just so ridiculous that even occurred. And just really, and in this moment anyways, knowing the lack of truth there, and the amount of projection there. But there is no preparing for the unknown, for this threshold that is wrapped in unknown, in mystery, right? There is no preparing for it. And and I mean, walking a path of free birth and then holding death in your arms and then dying myself, it's changed my worldview entirely. My spirit was 1 foot out the door. 1 foot tethered, and for some reason I stayed. And it is an interesting, I don't know, it's an interesting conversation, because there was this one woman in the community who had some unkind things to say about Floyd's birth and death. And, she held a lot of judgment and a lot of blame onto me and my partner for choosing to free birth. She chose free birth herself for her firstborn. So I don't understand that. And maybe, as I'm saying that, maybe she was speaking from a space of wisdom of like, No, I don't recommend it. I highly don't recommend it. So I don't know, maybe there's that kind of piece. But then not too long after, there was something that happened. I have no details, but I know that she was supporting a family that was affected negatively by a hospital birth. Something happened at the hands of the doctors, OBs, L&D nurses, and she looked at my partner and said, I can understand why you guys chose what you chose, because these are realities that women face in hospitals. And he doesn't have the details either, but just to know that the more that we learn, we change our minds, we gain compassion and understanding, and we can deepen our ability to see someone other than ourselves, to look someone in the eyes and say, wow, I don't understand you, but I'm willing to be here and listen and receive you. And I don't see that in the free birthing world. I see judgment. I see almost this like condemnation of stupidity. Like if you choose a hospital birth, you're stupid. If you transfer, why did you transfer? Did you actually need that cervical check? Did you actually need that? Did they actually save your lives? Or is it a hero complex that a doctor has? You know, and I have goosebumps, you know, and it's just a very nuanced conversation. And you've mentioned a few times, and I know that I've phrased things similarly in the past and continue to, where birth isn't black and white. And on one side, you have people that are pushing medical births so much so that the cesarean rates are through the roof in North America. But then on the other side, you have people pushing this idea of wild births, wild pregnancies, and that it is maybe a morally superior decision to make.
Yeah.
That when you choose free birth, you are more intelligent, you are wiser, because you're not falling for the dogma that's put out or the propaganda that's put out. And you're thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
And even when I woke up from a coma and I spoke to some of the nurses, and I remember this one nurse talking to me, and she brought up the COVID vaccination and the whole experience with COVID in this global conversation. She said, you know, that really divided a lot of people, where that ingrained a mistrust in the medical system, where women that maybe would have selected a midwife to attend a birth would be really resistant because they wouldn't want their child or themselves to get a COVID vaccination or birth with a fucking mask on, you know? When, like, can you imagine laboring and you have a mask on?
Oh, I saw a reel the other day,
know?
and it was a woman talking about how crazy that was. And
Yeah, and I remember...
I could not imagine doing that.
Totally. And I remember watching this one YouTube video. There was this couple who I think lived on Vancouver Island, and she decided to have a wild pregnancy, and she ended up transferring, and it was so like they built their home. She was an herbalist, and she transferred to the hospital, and they separated her from her baby because she tested positive for COVID and the baby didn't test positive for COVID.
Oh my God.
But of course the baby's inside of her, so she didn't see the baby. The husband couldn't see the baby for like 2 weeks. Like couldn't even see her baby. And so this sabotage, like full body goosebumps, like these sabotages do happen. And she shared her story publicly. And if I can find that video, I will include it in the description, because I remember watching that before I got pregnant, and it rocked me. Yeah. It rocked me, and I already carried a belief that home birth is the better choice, the safer choice. It is a way to protect physiological birth, to not be observed by anyone or anything. Like I didn't want to film my birth because I was like, nope, I don't want to be observed. I don't want anything to disrupt this process, that if I am not observed, this will happen and be safe, because that's, again, this narrative that is pushed, that I felt was pushed anyways. And, you know, I've heard women having physiological births really beautifully in the hospital also, you know, or with midwives. And so it's not just one thing, you know, and yeah, but it is, I don't know, I'm just remembering even like days before I gave birth, and you came over and you were like, if anyone can birth, you can birth. And I was like, oh shit, okay, Eden's telling me, like, if she's telling me this, okay, I can do this, like, you know, I can really do this. And I remember some people saying, you know, it was her ego, that's why her baby died, it was her ego.
To you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
More than one. And so to that statement, it was her ego, I would inquire, what human doesn't have ego? What human doesn't make decisions from ego? Because ego is personality, it's fear, it's love, it's everything that we've experienced informs our ego and our decision making. What mother isn't making a decision from ego? From, I think this is the safest thing, right? And so I had this thought, belief, that it wasn't even I could do it the way that you were describing. It was, I trust that my body is built to birth a baby, because my grandmother had 11 kids. No intervention, no anything, just 11 children, you know, coming out. Same thing when I was born, you know, and I've heard so many stories. Women birthing. My body is made to do this. It's capable of doing this. And so it wasn't even so much a trust in, oh, I can do this, because I didn't think I had anything to do. Like, I didn't think it was a function of me having to act or do anything other than like swaying and moving and changing positions and, you know, just allowing space in the birthing portal and in my body to do what it's doing, you know? But of course, that's not always the case. And my birth was an extreme scenario. But it's a story that I hadn't heard before. I've heard about forceps births. I've heard about vacuum births. I heard about all these variations of normal, which the Freebirth Society uses a lot, and the Freebirth movement uses a lot. This term under the umbrella of normal, you know. And I recall hearing the free birth movement, free birthing people, advocates, throwing a lot of things under the umbrella of, under the realm of normal, variations of normal. And that oversimplification of nuance and complexity is problematic. Hugely problematic. Because it doesn't allow the depth or the integrity of what can present in birth to stand in full truth and full essence. So yes, as an example, a nuchal cord could be a variation of normal. At the same time, it could contribute to a complication or a death. And that was one of the issues that I can, looking back, I can see this this incomplete piece, right? This incomplete statement of nuchal cords are a variation of normal. I was born with a nuchal cord. and that did not contribute to negatively to my birth, you know. But there are other babies that have nuchal cords and cords that are like wrapped around their full body that contract so much that it stops breathing, stops baby's heart. It, you know, constricts blood flow. And so, yeah, this term, variations of normal, I see it being very problematic. And this is where these conversations become really important, because we can't talk about birth, black and white, cover everything, you know? One midwife is going to have a whole bunch of experiences, whereas another one is going to have contradicting experiences. And that's okay. Yeah. But these conversations allow us to sit at the feet of one another, receiving the wisdom and the stories and the medicine that we carry, and have more of a complete viewpoint of what can present, you know? I mean, even having waters open.
Yeah.
You know, there's women that have had waters open for 5 days, and that can be a variation of normal, and it can be healthy. But it can also leave room for infection to happen, you know? And so to understand when something is safe and when something's not safe requires, I mean, wisdom, understanding, knowing what to look for, you know, and knowing as well that infection and issues when it comes to birth and labor, because there's so many moving pieces, can overlap. Like the Venn diagram of what is normal and what is not normal, what is healthy and what is not healthy in birth, it's very much overlapped, you know, and it's so woven with nuance. You know what I mean? Like, I remember you talking about shaking when you were in labor, and I was shaking a lot too, and looking back, I'm like, that was probably infection. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's the desire to understand something that we can't actually understand. Our human minds want to understand so that we can make the best decisions possible, when it's like that quote you said. Can you say it one more time?
You do not have the privilege to know the destiny of another being. That includes ourselves.
Yeah. And it's that like desire for control. Like, oh, if I can like categorize these things as, okay, this is normal, this is normal, this is variation of normal, then I can make the choice, you know, based on, okay, everything's normal, so this should be fine. This should go smoothly, or I should transfer, or whatever. Yeah, it's just that desire to understand, and that's where I feel like the birth world, both free birth, home birth, hospital birth, doesn't honor the mystery of birth.
And I was going to, you know, share an addendum, right, where we want to make decisions from a place of knowledge and education and awareness, because we want to make the safest decision possible for our babies, for ourselves, because we want the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
But what if that's not possible? What if it's not possible to control, like you said, the outcome of a situation? What if we can do our best? And what if 99% of the time people are doing their best? And I would go so far as to say, what if 100% of the time people are doing their best? And their best is going to look different.
Yeah.
But what if it's not possible to make a perfect decision and save every single life and have every single baby come out of that birth portal alive? What if that's just not possible? How do we hold that?
Yeah.
How do we hold the reality that we can't control something? And this is what death teaches us. This is what birth teaches us. These thresholds, these portal spaces of, you go from one experience or one form of reality, you move through this doorway, and you're in a whole other world. there is no controlling that. Can we just sit at the feet of these experiences and yes, do our best. Yes, educate ourselves. Yes, try to be informed with our decision making. But that piece of mystery, can we sit and hold the unknowable? Because we don't know why. Like the big why, not just why did Floyd die? Why did this baby die? Why didn't this baby die? We can look and break it down, but that from our ego, from our heart, from our mind, our soul, that's not what we're asking. That's not why we ask why. When we're asking the question, why did this person die? We're asking God, the universe, nature. We're asking why this person. Why now? Why them? Why not me? Why not someone else?
Yep.
The why of specifics of, well, he was 42 weeks, or he got hit by a car, or he drowned, or he, whatever it is, that doesn't satisfy the why. The ache in the heart that is begging to know and will never receive an answer because it's unknowable. It is not our privilege to know why. Can we hold that?
Yeah. And that is exactly what's missing from everything in the birth world is that. Because nobody wants to face that. Nobody wants to look at that. Everybody wants to know that there's going to be a certain outcome so that they can feel safe. Because that unknown, you don't know if it's going to be the most incredible experience of your life or the most traumatic experience of your life or just another Tuesday. Like, you don't know. Right? Like, and how do we find safety in that? Can we? Does it exist? You know? And I hear the word like surrender to the mystery. What does that even look like? Like, Florian hates it when I use the word surrender, especially if it's accompanied by a... He hates it.
Jason hates it too. He's like, oh, that flaky hippie shit.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, if we want to use language, we have to surrender to the mystery of birth, which also means surrender to the mystery of life. But what does that actually look like? What does that mean? Because no mother is going to say, okay, well, if my baby dies, then my baby dies, and I have to be okay with that. No mother would ever say that, you know, and would ever truly feel like, yeah, that's what I would want. You know,
No.
that's what every mother's trying to avoid by making these choices. But yeah, like, what does that look like to just give it to God and be like, okay, it's in your hands. Please don't destroy me. Like, or do, and why?
Yeah, and why? And so this is, it's just such a big piece because then we circle back to the sacred I don't know. The mantra I don't know. The medicine I don't know. The prayer I don't know. Because there's so much humility in that. And that's what death and birth teach us. It's humility. Right? And humility comes from the root word hum, meaning from Latin, the earth. It reminds us that we are of the earth. Right? Which brings me to this quote that we are noble because we come from the stars. But we are humble because we are made from the earth. Birth and death humble us because they tell us, they state equally, you are human, you are alive. You're not special.
Though you want to be.
Though you want to be, but that's what the Tao teaches too. Like, you will experience misfortune because you have a body. Right? But it's not personal. When things happen, when misfortune happens, they're not personal. It's not because you're a bad person or a good person or
something you did in your past life.
it's you have a body, and so you're going to stub your toe. You know, you're going to cut yourself. You're going to get hurt. It's not personal. It is what being human is. And I remember, you know, this idea of like, you're not special. And my best friend of like 14 years, I remember her telling me, you're not special, Emma, but you're special to me. And so you're special. You're not important, meaning you're not more important than someone else. But you're important to me. You matter to me, and so you matter. Right? And so this is like, oh my God, my heart's just like...
That's so beautiful. Like...
She told me when I think I was like 16 or 17, and
oh my God.
We were very high, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. You just altered my DNA.
That's amazing. Yeah, totally. Forever altered my brain chemistry. Yeah, no going back. You know, but just the beauty of that, and every time I think of it, it just opens my heart. But that level of like humility and nobility, right? And nobility could be integrity, you know, but just this, I will stand tall because I want to do my best. Because I see that there is light in the universe. Because I see goodness in people, because I want to do good. But I will remain humble, knowing that I am imperfect, knowing I will make mistakes, knowing I can bow my heart and say I'm sorry when I've done something wrong. You know, but this I don't know is such a prayer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
That's such, truly such medicine for me. So thank you so much for saying that. I'm going to be singing that in the shower. I'm going to be singing that as I'm drumming. I'm going to be like, in that, and that piece of, you know, being humble because we are of the earth. This also reflects our disconnect with nature. Because in nature, Florian and I were watching a nature documentary yesterday, and there was a mother whale and her baby whale traversing into wherever they were going, and the baby whale got attacked by orcas, or killer whales.
Orcas are killer whales.
Yeah, okay. And like my mother heart was just like, how can you show this on the show? Like, oh my God. And I was like destroyed by it. And then the narrator was just like, this mother will have to continue her journey alone. And I was just like distraught by this show. But that is nature. I saw something else, I think on Instagram today, of a baby lamb dying, and somebody was burying this beautiful little baby lamb. And so it just shows us how disconnected we are as a society, as a culture, from nature, because nature shows us that there's death around us all the time. And it's not fair, and we don't know why, and it just happens because that is nature.
I remember a few months after Floyd died, and Jason and I were camping. We reached down, we were outside, and I was looking around at the trees, the rocks, the water, and I was just like, I don't feel judgment here. I feel like I can just be, and that all of this grief is okay, that all of this suffering is okay, that all this pain is okay, all this love is okay. And he reached down and he picks up a wood chip. And he just says, look, babe, death. Death is welcome here. And I lost it, and I just cried. I just cried and cried. But you bringing up the animals too, I mean, I don't know if it was you or Annika that sent me this video of the mother gorilla.
Not me.
Okay, so then it was Annika. And this video is of a mother gorilla holding her dead baby. And she's walking from gorilla to gorilla and you see this baby, and you know, he or she is just like limp in her arms, and she's walking through her gorilla community, and all of the gorillas are just like bowing to her and touching her head and touching the baby's head, and acknowledging like, wow, look at your beautiful baby, like, congratulations, and I'm so sorry. And I watched it, and I was like, fuck, like, I would have loved that. And like, I don't think anybody told me congratulations after Floyd was born, you know. And I get why, but just seeing that video, I was like, right, look at what they're just doing. Like, they're not taking somatic courses and like therapy and
writing
like,
letters.
Yeah, and like, but like, they're not like learning how to do this in a right way or a wrong way. They're not, you know, like, hey, psychologically, this is really good for grief. You know, they're just doing it because it's primal.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful. It's so beautiful, you know, and just coming back to this like free birth conversation, because I don't want to get too off track here, but these animals aren't trying to dissect why. They're just living in, I'm looking at you. I'm here with you. And in this dissecting of why, whether we're on the free birth side of things or we're on the medicalized birth or anywhere, whatever our beliefs are with birth, I think there's a lack of I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lack of willing to hold an I don't know. There's a lack of, whether you're in the free birth world, because the dogma, the propaganda that comes out is very, well, this is why this happens. If you go to the hospital, this will happen. If you don't go to the hospital, this will happen. Look at all this evidence I have to prove this confirmation bias. Look. And we can't not have confirmation bias because we're human and it's natural. But at the same time, that's limiting. Right?
And that like desire to know also for me mirrors the hyper masculine patriarchal culture that we live in as well, because the feminine is, you know, it's the cyclical nature, it's the mystery, right? There's like the blood mysteries. You know, if it makes sense in our mind, it's like, okay, we know what to do. And if it doesn't make sense, we don't know what to do. And so can we not know what to do? Until we're presented with like, okay, here's path 1 and path 2. What way are you going?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and can we have an idea and then change our mind? You know, I see a lot of women talk about, you know, free birth, and even if some things happened that were less than ideal or negative, or the outcome was, you know, death or disfiguration or whatever it might be, and then there's still like, this is always the best decision or whatever it might be, or somebody has a really negative experience in the hospital and they're still going to go back and you know, and this other like feminine medicine of you can change your mind. You're allowed to view things differently, shift your beliefs when you have new information. Like, how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
You know, we gain new information. We have new details that can inform how we view something. But sometimes we get so stuck as humans in what a belief says about me, what a belief or idea or action means, period. And what it means about the kind of person that I am. You know what I mean? I a few months ago, I think it was. Maybe a bit longer. Jason and I were walking down the street, and we met this woman, and she was talking, and this phrase stuck in my head because it's a phrase that I would have probably said had I not had this experience with Floyd. And she said, oh, you know, we're hippies, we're into all the natural stuff, we had 2 home births, like that's just, you know, we're these kind of people. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. This idea of, if I have a free birth, I'm this type of person. Oh, well, I had a home birth, so
yeah, I'm crunchy.
I fall into this category. Yeah, exactly, you know? And that's just not the case, you know? And we're just so much more complex as human beings. And a dear sister, Sammy Love, described this to me, and she said, you know, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Half of those, maybe just over, are women. So 4 billion women on the planet. We are all so unique. And birth is unique to each woman. And that means there are 4 billion, presently, different ways to birth. That doesn't mean they're all going to end up with a good outcome, even if they do everything right, even if they're monitored, even if fill in the blank, it doesn't mean the outcome is always going to be what we want. And there's something that I was describing to a person where we get pregnant and we start sensing this baby, whether we believe in spirit babies or connect to spirit babies, or we're just feeling the movements of like, wow, this baby's kicking, wow, they're going to be a soccer player, or, you know, whatever senses we're getting. And we have these ideas in our mind of, we're going to be a mother, we're going to have this life, we're going to have a baby, whether we know the gender or we don't, but we have these ideas. And then the baby's born, and we get to know this human and continue to get to know them, and are mind blown, like, I thought I knew who you were going to be, and I'm so constantly surprised. And that's happening with Floyd all the time, where I'm like, you are a crazy boy. Like, you know, and it breaks my heart. And at the same time, I'm just mind blown, you know? Like, I look at his astrology chart and his human design chart. I'm like, he's a manifester. He came here to make waves and trigger people, and he did from day one.
Yeah.
You know, he came here to initiate something, and he's living that. You know, and because I have his DNA in me, I'm living that, and he's living that through me, and I'm getting to know him through me. And you know, I'll look at Jason and I see his face in Jason's face. Like, I can't not see Floyd when I look at him, because he's like, they have the same nose and the same mouth. Like, I'm just like, you're right here in front of me. You know? Yeah. You know? But our kids are constantly surprising us by who they are and how they are and why they are, and we can't prepare for that. Just like we can't prepare for birth. We can't know what it's going to present to us, you know? Yeah. So is there anything, I guess, is there anything that people listening here, watching here, that you'd want them to walk away maybe feeling or thinking, or maybe questions to ponder, maybe even speaking to the people that watched you share while you were pregnant, and you know, and talking about free birth and this decision and the wild pregnancy, and being very like I don't know if you understand how transparent she was. You know, you like post your birth video online, like you.
I don't think there was much that I didn't share.
And even after you birthed, you were like, I'm not going to record this yet, and then you did, and you shared, and you had one way of viewing it, being immediately postpartum having all this oxytocin pumping through your body, and then you take time to integrate and are viewing free birth and birth and your experience even with different eyes. And so, yeah, the people that watched you, I'm curious what you'd want to share, or like the woman that you used to be, the woman that was pregnant, that had these ideas, that was sharing, and you know, that you know more intimately than anyone else. If you were sitting across from her right now, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that having support does not mean you failed. Because I felt like that was a failure. I was scared. Like, I had that underlying fear of, oh my gosh, what if I transfer to the hospital and then I have to tell everybody that I failed?
Right.
And, you know, if I felt I needed to, I would have, but there was that fear.
Right.
And so I would tell her that you cannot fail birth. You cannot fail birth. There is no failure. Yeah, and it's okay to be seen in that really raw vulnerability. Because I don't even think I shared with Florian the depth of like vulnerability that I was feeling and how that was rocking me, and the lack of safety that I felt in my own home after, you know. So just, yeah, that there's no, you're not getting graded on how well you birth or not. Like, you're not, this is not the school system, you know. Your parents aren't going to be mad at you, you know, like, you're loved. And yeah, and also, yeah, that piece of it's okay to change your mind, because I think that that's why I haven't really said anything, because my mind is changed, and I would not speak about free birth in the ways that I did in the past. And I feel a lot of compassion for that past version of me, and for, you know, the women who look at free birth as that, like, moral higher than, you know, you're, a better hippie woman, crunchy woman, earthy woman, you know, mystic woman if you free birth. Like, but I'm also grateful to have been her, so that I can feel what it feels like to be changed from that. And yeah, I heard somebody say, or I read it, someone said the other day, that birth humbles all of us. And I am grateful to have been humbled. And I'm like, it's okay to be humbled by birth. It's actually really a blessing, you know?
Yeah.
The way that I can relate to other women now is forever changed because I allowed birth to humble me, and I didn't, you know, get back on my free birth soapbox and be like, see, blah, 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 blah. This is for everybody. I never said that anyways. I still always brought it back to, you know, you make the choice that feels best for you and what feels safest for you. But yeah, I would just tell her that, yeah, it's okay to be humbled, and she doesn't need to resist the humbling so much.
And what an amazing permission slip. Not that anyone needs it, not that you need it, but to show up and to speak now. And however you choose to continue to show up, whether it's on social media, on your Substack, on, you know, whatever it might be, but to say, hey, this is what I used to think, and I'm changing my mind, and I'm standing in that and embodying that, and then continuing to change your mind, and just having people see that and being like, right, I can change my mind. You know, in any area, right? We can apply this to all areas of life, right?
Yeah. And that piece of I don't know, like, it's okay to not know. It's okay to not have the answer. It's okay to not, even if it's like, well, what if this scenario presents itself, or what if this, like, it's okay to not know.
Yeah, and we can still speak and share a thought or a feeling or an opinion and not know. You know, I've had people ask me, so are you pro free birth or anti free birth, or are you an advocate against, or and I didn't answer that question right away because I really didn't know how I wanted to respond. And then I recorded a podcast about it because I realized I do know how I feel about it. And how I feel is I don't know. And that's okay. Because how can I make a decision for another woman? This is one experience. One experience. It's one experience out of so many. You know, and I remember weeks after Floyd passed away, a dear friend came by and we were having tea ceremony, and he popped in and he just stared at me, and these piercing, beautiful blue eyes, and we just stared at each other and cried. And he assured me and just said, hey, like, I'm not part of any anger towards you. I just hold love. Because there were people that were angry and unkind and carried a lot of projection and judgment towards me. And I mean, I don't know what they feel now. Probably still do. But maybe not. I don't know. But then he looked at me after closing his eyes for a minute and just said, nobody knows anything. No one knows anything. And I might end up getting that phrase tattooed on me somewhere, because it is nobody knows anything. It is the deepest truth. We try to know because it makes us feel safer. It makes us feel like we have some semblance of control. You know, and we try to make decisions from a place of knowing. But we don't know anything. We think we know. But we don't. You know, I've taken psychedelics where I've reached out and touched things that I'm like, this is real.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's not real. But it was real to my experience. You know, but how do I know that what I'm touching right now isn't just a very potent hallucination or a dream? I woke up this morning and I had to check to see if I had butter in my fridge because I had a dream that Jason ate all my butter and it was gone. And I was like, oh my God, where'd the butter go? And he was like, oh, I ate it. I'm sorry. Did you need it for something? It was reality. And I had to check. And I asked him, and I didn't believe that he didn't eat the butter. And so I checked the fridge, and sure enough, the butter was there. But how do we know what reality really is? And that is a whole other conversation, you know? But rooted in that, we don't know. And I mean, even that question that I asked you, like, what would I tell that version of myself? I remembered this other quote. I feel like I'm a book of quotes right now, but this quote was, I'd rather have my mind opened by wonder than one closed by belief. And having that be a practice. And I would ask her, hey, how are you not having an open mind with wonder right now? You're feeling certain that this is a correct decision. This is the healthiest, the safest decision. How do you know that? How many more people can you ask to gain different perspectives, different insights? And this is a big teaching that I guess have been initiated into through this journey of birth and loss and death. And it's to step outside of the echo chamber, because I see that in the medical system. I see that in free birthing circles, where we sit in circles with people that validate a belief. And it's just another form of confirmation bias. And this echo chamber space, this circle of, wow, me too. Oh, I feel the same way. Oh my God. Okay. Kindred sisters.
Yeah.
We agree. And that feeling of validation can be potent medicine. It can be beautiful to be seen. But where is the growth in that?
Yeah.
Are we able to also sit in circles with people that have different experiences than us, that disagree with us, see the validity and the truth in them, and receive that wisdom and maybe apply it in different ways? And having that discernment, finding that discernment of not taking on another's fear, while also really bowing at, oh, this was your experience, okay. And maybe the way somebody would tell a story is going to be different in 15 years because they have new eyes to see their past in a different way. You know, when it comes to the way that you've shared your birth story. I remember hearing it right after. And I remember hearing it more recently. And you tell it differently.
Yeah.
You know? And the way that I've shared my birth story is different from the first time, because the first time I mean I woke up from a coma and I was like, what happened? Like, and trying to piece together everything, and my soul was not anywhere near my body. And the way that I talk about it now with more understanding and more pieces that have been integrated.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean my story was incorrect the first time, or it's incorrect now. You know? But can we sit with people that have very different stories than us, that have very different experiences or beliefs than us, without being on the defense, without feeling threatened, or like I have to protect this belief or this idea of, but does your story, if it was a good story, does it cancel out my story? You know, is the way that you and Florian are in relationship, does that mean that me and Jason are in relationship poorly because we're not the same as you? Or does that mean that you guys are in a poor relationship because you're not the same as us? Or like whatever it might be? Or is it just humans with different experiences? And can we adopt this, again, this sacred I don't know, this sacred curiosity?
Ooh.
You know? And yeah, I mean, I remember praying to the water before I gave birth, like days before I gave birth, laying offerings of flowers and incense and things down. And I was so angry after I gave birth with the water. I was like, you didn't protect me. I prayed to you. And the water that I prayed to was a little waterfall. And it was like a little, you know, turned into a ravine after. And then I had the realization and the understanding that water flows and it adapts and it keeps flowing even when there's rocks and even when there's something, you know, damming the flow. It continues to flow over, around, under. It finds its way. But it is flexible and malleable and is changing. And through this journey, I've completely changed. And I've had people ask me, oh, so what should I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But I can ask you questions to talk about it, to see why you're making maybe decisions that you are, what's going to inform those decisions. Not for me to have answers, but just to contemplate.
Yeah.
You know?
And you ask good questions.
Thanks.
You ask really good questions.
Thank you. So do you.
Thanks.
Yeah. You know, but this is where, you know, when deciding the type of birth that we're leaning into, I think, adopting that curiosity and inquiring a lot outside and doing that research externally, right, which is more the masculine, but then turning that inward too, and doing that internal questioning and an internal research of, okay, so what does this choice say about me? Where does this come from? What fears are here? And I did some of that for sure. but it was difficult to figure out. And this is also where I think even having a therapist while you're pregnant, you know, an informed, like birth informed therapist could be really supportive, because I, you know, have a brother that was stillborn. And so throughout my pregnancy, I had these fears of stillbirth, but I thought they were fears based on my previous experiences, which is not to say that they weren't. But I have been wondering how much of that is intuition, and maybe it's both. You know, I don't know, but that question of, like, if I had taken more time to ask, you know, and have somebody holding those questions with me. And that's really what I was hoping for in searching for a midwife, and I didn't find that. Like, I was wanting to build a relationship and a sisterhood with a birth keeper and have her ask those, like, really good questions instead of having, like, a steamroller over the birth, you know, which is what it felt like with the Midwifery Collective. If you want to have a home birth, you have to do this, 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 this. That's just the way we do things. And that was an immediate no for me. And so I think, you know, just adopting that perspective, bottom line, you know, whether you're a doctor, an OBGYN, gynecologist, L&D nurse, woman that is pregnant, or mother, father, anyone, you know, anytime we have a judgment, anytime we have an idea or a belief, just bringing in that curiosity piece and that I don't actually know. And I can get more information, and I still don't know.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that. Because, even just in motherhood, you know, there's still so many unknowns. You know, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I try to feed her peanuts? I was allergic to peanuts. I'm terrified of feeding her peanuts. Like, do I just do it, or is she allergic to peanuts? I don't know. I'm not going to know until I give them to her, but I'm scared to give them to her. Like, do I do it? You know,
parked outside of the ER.
Exactly, and that's probably what I'll do with my mom.
Exactly.
So even like during this conversation, I've had thoughts of like, oh, is Flora okay? Is she okay? And just now I was like, I don't know, and I'm not gonna know until we're done.
Even then,
you know, and so. Yeah, I think that's medicine, not just for birth, but for life, for everything. Life, death, and everything in between.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, as you said that, like, you know, and I'm, you know, wondering, like, is Flora okay? And whatever, I'm like, fucking wondering that every moment of every day. Is Floyd okay? You know, and there's different people that are saying, yeah, he's okay. Don't worry, he's okay. You know, and all of these things that I'm like, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You can believe that, you can think that, you can feel that, and there's validity there. But how do we know something for certain? You know, because even if you're holding Flora, she's not crying, she's breathing, she's pooping fine, she's, you know, but is she actually okay? How do we know that? Is she communicating that she's okay? Is there a part of her that feels uncomfortable, but it's not setting off big alarm bells in her, and so she's not communicating it? Or maybe she is, but subtly, but you're maybe tired, and so you're not, like, how do we know? And I think that could be a really beautiful place to land and wrap up this conversation, unless there's something else that you want to share.
No, I feel like that feels good to leave it at that. That feels like a little, here you go, take this with you. Take this with you. We don't know. Maybe you don't know.
And in your I don't knows, and your thoughts throughout your listening to this, I would love, and I'm sure you would love, to hear from you, to hear your beliefs, your ideas, your stories, yeah, like your judgments, your bias. Really curious to know how this was for you listening to this. I'm curious, yeah, if this brought up anything for you. Yeah, whether it's like internal judgments or if your beliefs have been challenged or if your ideas have been validated or not. But the comments are available and open to listen to or to write all of those things in. And I appreciate you guys being here, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
My
I appreciate
sweet
you
love.
having me.
My sweet love.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels really special to have had this conversation and for you to share so openly just where you're at with beliefs and ideas around free birth specifically. It feels really, such an honor to have you in this space.
Yeah, it feels like the right space to be in as I'm like, I don't know what I believe anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sacred I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.